must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
A strong commitment to boosting domestic manufacturing, President Uhuru Kenyatta has launched several flagship manufacturing projects under the Big Four agenda. The blend of manufacturing projects launched by the President cut across various manufacturing.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much for watching our new show, The Social Africa. In this show, we seek to come to reality, to the issues that touch the ordinary citizens of any country that Miriam will choose for us to discuss. You can choose Ivory Coast, you can choose Africa, Egypt, you can choose Sudan, South Sudan, you can choose Uganda, and look at the topics that are touching the ordinary citizens. Our purpose of this particular show is to bring to reality the people of the community. Our community-related television like this one has a purpose. Why are things happening the way? That's why the social media, the television, social media cannot stop people using their social media to discuss issues that affect communities. We are not a commercial entity to make commercial films. You would have seen a bill coming from the Facebook and other institutions. But we are a community. So this afternoon, this show, inaugural show, is to bring about what is happening in Kenya. And with me on the panel, we have our in-house analyst, Sharon Gitonga. She's a PR guru based in Nairobi. She will tell us how some of these things happen, how they affect the community. What can we do to change? We also have Mr. Samuel Tawish Olesesana, our special assignment editor, who goes for special assignments. He interacts with people. He tells us what is really in the bags of the people in the community. Back in the studio, we have our senior anchor and senior news lady, a person who has been with us, who directs us from the general headquarters, an editor, a researcher also, Miriam Ogutu. Good afternoon, all of you.
Good afternoon, Doc. Good afternoon, our viewers.
Yes, I am Dr. Matanga. I will co-host this show together with Miriam. But feel free to discuss and interact. In fact, the phone, there is a phone where you should call. I don't know why this phone is not here. We shall be having a phone where callers can call us and listen to our programs, those who want to listen to them. call us and talk. We shall also in the future from other days interact with some music in the background from radio, the Ion Africa. I will be doing that. I'm introducing that radio very soon. But thank you very much, viewers. This show, we have also been joined by Daniel Wesonga from our special investigative personnel. He knows some things that are touching the community. Welcome to the show, Wesonga, in quick and brief.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Masanga David, and our panelists at our Ritual Assassina in Narok, Sharon Gitonga, my colleague Miriam Oguto, and our viewers in Kenya and the rest of the world. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Miriam, lay the topics on the show, on the ground. Let's begin.
All right, Doc, thank you so much for that. So we shall be looking at the recent spate of banning of schools in Kenya. What's the motive and what has been happening there, and what really is the cause of these fires that is usually experienced during a certain period of time during the educational calendar in this country, in high schools particularly. And then after that, we shall look at do animals in Kenya have a right? And then we'll go to the media, and does it accelerate the breakages we see in relationships? And then after that, we will conclude with how far we are in terms of vaccination in the country. So let's just start with the banning of the schools here in Kenya.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Let me kick the ball going. The spate of fires in schools. What is the problem here? Do we see a political motive? Do we see cartelism, cartels, mafia, cartels, those who want to build more schools, those who want to supply material? Do we see students themselves being radicalized? Are the youth in Kenya being radicalized? The statements that come from the elders in Kenya, do they radicalize the youth? The panel can disagree with me, but believe me or not, as I've said much earlier, children copy from what we do. If you smile, the child will smile. If you beat your wife, the child will fight the peer. If you mistreat your wife or your husband, the child will definitely also copy the same behavior. If you wear your trousers upside down, the child will also do the same. Children copy what we do. Psychologically, that happens in so many countries. Stable democracies and democracies that are developed have rules that guide the children, have rules that safeguard children from molestation, abuse, and other acts that could lead to social disorientation. Are we in Kenya, do we have social workers who visit the homes? Yes or no? How many of you have seen a community worker in your village? Miriam, you live somewhere in either Eastlands. Have you ever seen Eastlands, or you live in Thaiga, or you live in Karen, or you live in Parklands? Have you ever seen anybody? Or Lavington? If you have, maybe tell us on this show. Is there any community work? Are there social workers in Kenya? Are these children having enough? To me, I believe the problem of schools and the problem of mentality changing, it is we, the parents, who have very bad mentality. I believe the COVID-19 situation has exposed quite a lot of systematic problems. It has exposed quite a lot of difficulties in many homes. Children were not used to being guarded like animals, or put in a camp, or told not to do A, B, C, D. Some children are finding it very difficult. For example, in a dormitory. Are dormitories also prisons? To me, I believe we don't have enough facilities in those dormitories to engage our children and put them and give them enough time for them not to resort to some activities. One of the parents, when he saw this topic, which I posted to, he said, the girls or Buruburu girls should go out and get married. They should not be allowed back to school. I don't know how many of you think so. Should we allow these girls who ban school? Girls! Let the boys be, but girls. So that is, one of the parents told me, Matanga, don't even waste my time. Let them just go out and get married. Get out, get pregnant, and leave it. So if we have that, we said everybody goes. How many pregnancies shall we have? Shall we have future doctors, nurses? Britain is getting once over 60,000 nurses from Kenya and other parts. Some of them cannot even write and spell English. Are we not worried, people? Are you sure that your child, where he goes to that school? I am sure Miriam is a parent and she has been a strict parent. I know her, she has told me so. She checks for everything that happens. I also I was, as a single parent, very strict. I used to check on most of the things happening to my children. The system in the United Kingdom, for your example, you people, is that if a child goes to school and cries he didn't have bread, you must explain to the school why the bread was missing in your in your menu. Seriously, Tawish. One morning I had the police officers knocking on my door, bringing back one of my daughters because she had not worn an underwear. That Miriam, that is the truth. And Sharon, and Stawish, the panel, and Daniel. So I opened the door. I had just come from work, night work, and I was going to prepare for them lunch, food, and leave, then go and work. Go and study. They said, no. How did she? The lady was asking me, how did she leave this house? Did you know you don't check on the children? You have no responsibility. And if this happens, Miriam, they told me, sorry, you will miss them. And it's not a joke. Do we have laws in Kenya that workers deterrent? First as parents, second as children. Do we? Their own statute. But nobody knows that the laws are on statute and nobody, their own statute. Statutes are there. Statute, you know, acts of law. They are here, but we don't use them. We don't use them at all. If you go to the Ministry of Chalugui today and ask how many social workers are receiving money on a daily basis, Medium, you will be very shocked. People are fishing in Lamu. They come at the week, at the end of the month, to collect the salary. But do you see any social worker? Do you have a probation officer? Have you seen any probation officer? That's my take. Maybe Tawisha has one in Narok. Whoever wants to take the cue, there you are. That's my contribution. There is no law. There are laws here, but laws have not been implemented. We produce children whose mindset is picked from us, parents. The behavior we exhibit in the public is exactly the behavior that the parents, the children take to school. That's why they ban these schools.
Well, asante sana Dr. Masanga and the rest of the panelists, of course, and all our viewers who are watching this program this afternoon. Indeed, Dr. Masanga, I can't agree more with what you have submitted, that our children are almost a copy-paste or a copycat of what we are. And when you usually say that we are role models and we need to set good examples for the young generation, we mean it. And that is why you see when these children and pupils in schools behave the way they behave, not only in schools, even in just public discourse and even in our homes, in social gatherings, you get to understand that they do not learn this behavior from anyone but their parents, from the role models, from people at least who are older than them. And Dr. Masanga, when you look into our public discourse nowadays, it has lost civility, it has lost decorum. And even the politicians, for example, the leaders who are supposed to be serving as role models and examples to the young generation are not serving the best of examples, Dr. Masanga. When you have individuals, for example, calling people unprintable names like Muganga, like Mutu wa Kitendawili, and the people are listening, the children, the young generations are cheering up and looking up to these people as leaders, as role models. What is it that you expect out of them? In any case, learning, Dr. Masanga, is a continuous curve, and you learn from what you see, what you hear, and how people act. And so these people cannot go outside the bracket of how they've been brought up, really to learn new things, but they are learning from how we are conducting ourselves. Back to schools, Dr. Masanga, and of course, what has been happening, this is very, very despicable. It's something that must be discouraged, and even the students really who are perpetrating these kinds of acts must be brought to book, because it is not something that we can continue to cheer up, that students can be allowed into our schools, parents can toil hard to get fees and pay the fees, and teachers are so much committed in ensuring that these children get smooth learning. But what they end up through frustrations and maybe other reasons that we may not well know, they end up, for example, torching their schools or setting fire on their schools and dormitories. This is something that is unacceptable, Dr. Masanga, because for one, you're destroying the very facility that someone else somewhere is relying. There are students, there are kids who are now in primary schools, for instance, who rely to get to those high schools, who rely to get to those universities, and they will need to get to these facilities and infrastructure intact so that they can as well utilize them. So what is it that you're doing when you burn them down? You're also putting parents to yet another pressure. They're going so much in terms of hard economic times. They're going through a lot in terms of making sure you stay in school by paying your fees and other necessities. But again, look onto the schools, for example, that kids have been sent home. The parents have been asked really to come and, be able to foot the expenses of what their kids have really been able to damage. So in itself, you're piling also more pressure to parents who are already going through a lot. Not necessarily even making you to be in school. There's so much that parents go through, making sure that maybe we have food, we get clothing, and we can get education. And so we do not necessarily need to resort to such kind of extremes for us to make our message known. Another thing, Dr. Masanga, I suppose, is also the relationship that parents, teachers and students normally have. Do we even have time to communicate to these kids? Do we have time to listen to them whenever they have issues? Or are we people with a dismissive attitude that when a kid comes to you, they have a problem, they want to have audience with you, but what you do is just to dismiss them. So they have no choice, but the way they will only express the frustration is by resorting into such kind of extremes. Dr. Masanga, I think we need to get to a point where we have to reconsider and rethink our attitude towards these children as well. They also have a brain. If there's something they want to communicate to the parents, to the teachers, or even to the fellow students, they should be allowed that opportunity to express what they feel. Maybe from where they have come from.
But Tawish, you used to communicate. Were you communicating by breaking schools?
Not absolutely, Dr. Masanga.
Did you break any glass in school?
Not absolutely, Dr. Masanga, and that is why you heard me. I'm touching at every level of responsibility, from the parent to the teacher and to the students. You know, this is not something that you can just quite burden on, say, teachers alone, or students alone, or parents alone. But the biggest of the responsibility is on the part of students. I think so. Because much as the parents are playing their role, teachers are playing their role, but we cannot allow, of course, the kids or the students to supersede. Regardless of how they feel, regardless of the frustration, they should not resort to such kind of extremes just to pass a point. That is my message, Dr. Masanga, that there's a way, there's a level of communication which they can engage through maybe the prefects, because in our schools we have the prefects. There are prefects whom we could be so close to. There are fellow students whom you can communicate and tell them what you're going through. Perhaps this is something that you've come with it from home. You can as well pass through this fellow student, and a fellow student can get maybe to your class teacher, and the same may be resolved. But you see, when you have students who are so much introverts, they do not want to talk to anyone. They feel like the only thing that they can use to pass a message is getting into such kind of levels, Dr. Masanga. By the end of the day, the damage is done. We have burnt down our dormitories, but we still want to use the same dormitories. We have burnt down our classes, but we want to use the same classes. We are beating up our teachers, but we want the same teachers to come and teach us in our classes. And even there are more kids that will want to rely on these very teachers.
No, Tawish, is it only the children? Isn't it us also?
Yes, in fact, when you listen to me, Dr. Masanga, clearly, when I began my submissions, I did begin from the parent perspective.
Yes,
but what is it that the parent...
I wanted you to make your point, which you are making very clear. Say it is not only the children, it is us. It is us, starting from politicians of the highest level. It is us parents. If a child sees you getting a panga, some of the children are very bright. I said, Daddy, what is this? Where are you going? Then you tell, now the child is on TV. He sees people being hacked in Naivasha. That child will also get a panga in the future with the wife. And when the wife asked, where are you taking the panga? I said, I'm coming back. So is it not the parents? Because the children are children. That's why they are called children. They are supposed to be guided. So should we even talk about fixing the blame on the children?
Yeah, Dr. Masanga, absolutely. And I think we've normalized indecency in our engagement today to a point like we do not have even the moral responsibility or the honors to come out and even indict the kids and the behavior that they are now exhibiting. Because like I said, Dr. Masanga, they do not get this behavior from a vacuum. They do not borrow it from nowhere. They learn from the people around them and the immediate environment for these kids. Apart from their school, their schoolmates, apart from their teachers, is their parents who really brought them forth and those who are actually taking care of them before they get to school. And so I think, Dr. Masanga, when we live up as role models, we should set good examples. When you're setting bad examples, then that is how our students and kids are able to copy, and there's no way we can quite heap the blame on them alone. So it is quite of a broader responsibility on the part of parents, on the part of teachers, and by and large on the part of students. And each of us really has to do their role effectively. I submit that.
Thank you very much. Do you pay that? Do you punish your children?
I do, absolutely, Dr. Masanga. When they make a mistake, I have to correct them, and I correct them in a way that they will understand that this is something that is wrong, including not only how they behave or relate to me, but also how they relate to fellow kids, how they relate to other peoples, more so the adults. So I get to correct them from time to time so that they can grow up as upright members of our society. Dr. I submit.
What type of measures do you put? What measures? You tell them that I will not give you bread tomorrow. Have you ever tried that?
Of course, you know, for the kids, there are things that you know when you deny them, when you deny them, or if you threaten to deny them that which they usually maybe love so much, they're likely also to get back on track. But you know, as a parent, of course, when you do that, it's not that you do not love your kids, or maybe you know they like yogurt. It's not like you'll no longer buy them yogurt, but you have to give such kind of cards. Or when you give such kind of cards, you give such kind of, deterrent measures, like I won't do this for you. I'll not be able to take you out because they love going out. I'll not be able to buy you a cake during your birthday celebrations. So when they get to understand this, they get to know that is very upset. That is very upset, and they have to do the right thing.
Okay, thank you very much. You can them.
I do when necessary, Daktari.
Okay, thank you very much. Don't say police is watching. So Miriam is getting interesting here. Let's listen from a lady. She's a mother, and therefore she knows how even younger children, they start even at the age of, they start the same behavior. You can watch your child from, I have seen very many of them. I could know this one. If he grows up, he's going to cause chaos kwa nchi. I've seen. Huyu ataleta shida. Huyu ataleta shida. I know it. I have seen. I've seen all of them. So now, Sharon, they are banning schools. They are letting even boys. Yes, boys. It's understandable. We have a different gene of having bad manners. But ladies, conniving to ban a school, what goes in your mind?
Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga. And I remember when the first time we actually had this issue of banning of schools, I personally included, we were so quick to, call out the education system for actually having, banded the children and giving them so much pressure. But as time goes by, I think we're actually getting a whole different gist about the reality of our schools. I remember, every other day you actually see more than 5 cases of schools. So there's actually more to what that meets the eye. It's not just the pressure that they actually have. And by and large, I will, strongly agree that we as parents have actually failed to the large extent. Why? Because we are too busy, working round the clock, trying to make ends meet. Then we do not even create time to sit our children down and actually analyze their performance and progress. I remember when we had the issue of CBC, parents were actually the first people to lament about CBC because they actually discovered it actually involves more time with the parents and unlike the teachers. So we as parents have actually failed largely when we actually we are the parents that actually spoil the children by not punishing them, going by the old saying that says, spare the rod and spoil the child. But I think even the Bible says anyone that actually spares the child does not love that child. So we have a huge role to play as parents, by ensuring that we actually sit down and actually analyze the welfare of this child, so that when these children actually grow up, they don't grow up feeling entitled and with no ability to actually handle, setbacks or any adversities that they actually face. I was actually looking at a school in Nyeri that I think today has actually gone on strike because of not being given peanut butter. And I think a week ago, Miriam, you actually talked about a school that went, I think, in the market because of having, for having failed to be given milk tea, or was it sugar or something? Yeah. So there's, sorry?
It was enough milk, and they walked about 30 kilometers. I don't know to where.
Yeah. So you can imagine how crazy it is, and if we actually do not fix this generation, history is actually going to judge us so harshly. One thing that is clear: being harsh to teenagers is actually not going to help anything, but actually, disciplining them as young as they are. Personally, I have a daughter who is below 1 year, and I can tell you for a fact that even at her tender age, she actually knows what she's doing is actually bad, and she actually knows. So how you actually train up them from such a tender age is actually going to determine how these people are actually going to grow up to be. Let us stop spoiling our children, then we start blaming on teachers and parents of indiscipline, going by the old saying that says, spare the rod and spoil the child. Let us, be intentional about parenting and raising our children so that we can they can actually be a reflection of, they can actually be a mirror in our society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A mirror in the society. Do we have mirrors in the society? Masonga, are you a mirror in the society?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Masanga David. And I think this particular discussion brings into spectrum a wider perspective of our society, on how we view our society. And one thing that has struck my mind is the issue of national ethos that was in the BBI agenda. The issue that talks even about our culture as the Kenyan people. When you go to countries like China, when you go to countries like Korea, Singapore, these are countries where young people from a very early age, they are taught the virtue of discipline, respecting people who are above them in matters of age. And even it doesn't stop only on age, even in social status. I'm told that in Singapore, maybe in Korea or China, if someone who is on highest status in social status comes to where you are, you could see someone standing before them. And that is the kind of ethos that we lack here in the country. We do not raise people who are responsible, people who respect the law, people who know that when I'm getting into a bus and I'm a younger person, I should actually step out and maybe give a seat to an elderly person or maybe a disabled person. So I think this particular problem of banning schools only represents the bigger, the tip of the smaller tip of the iceberg that we are facing as a country. One, that indicates that as the parents, we have failed in our duty to be disciplinarian and to offer guidance and good example to our children. Number two, there is a collapse in the moral compass of the Kenyan leadership, because these children are going to be essentially the leaders of tomorrow. And if the leaders of tomorrow are banning schools everywhere, it shows you that in the coming years, they are going to ban the country, or worse of still, loot the resources of this country. So in essence, we are raising a very, very careless generation. Number two, I think in terms of parenting also, parents have neglected their roles. And Sharon has mentioned a very, very quintessential point, that when CBC was brought into being, most parents are actually disgruntled with this system of education, and simply because it involved engagement between the parents and the children. And of course, it is through the engagement of their parents that the parents are able to know whether these are changing in behavior, maybe in manner, in terms of how they perceive various aspects of life. So whenever we are able to bridge this gap between the kids and the parents, we shall be able to solve the problem of indiscipline in our schools. But unfortunately, the Kenyan parents are not giving this much emphasis. You realize that today's kids are raised at home with mobile phones, mobile apps, and the digital world, as they call it. They do not have time to sit with their parents. They do not receive counsel from their parents, and therefore the world raises these children, and there's no one to tell them this is bad, this is good. So to me, I think on that part, the parents have really failed. And if we do not,
in short, you made your points. We are running out of time, and in short, look, you are saying the lack of national ethics, which was in BBI, which could teach patriotism, is part of the cause. Because even the elder, are you saying so? Have you seen that now the good things in BBI are coming back to haunt us? If you look at the exact everything in Kenya is coming back to what Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga said. Everything. Miriam, be observant, all of you. As we go towards this National Delegates Conference and so on, Everything that Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga proposing, the 9 points are coming back to haunt Kenyans. You want to change the IBC? Impossible. Some people are saying, if we are not on the constituency, we are not voting. Some people are saying, ministers should not even talk. You see, all those things were in BBI. And there is actually a very big breakdown. What's your comment, Miriam? Then you give us the second topic about the schools and in summary.
Well, I think for what the rest of the panelists have said, there has been some negligence in the part of the parents. I think parents, maybe, I don't know, it's the the struggles of life. They're working so hard and long hours to take care of these children. So in that, in return, they lack time to sit with their kids and talk to their kids and just get to engage with their children. And we saw that during the COVID-19, the end of last year, the number of girls who had gotten pregnant was alarming, and it caused a national conversation because these kids were at home. As it appeared, kids are more safer in schools than they were at home if you were to go by what we were seeing, what happened last year, and the numbers of teenage pregnancies that were recorded in the country. So the parents seems to have neglected their responsibilities. So that is just one fundamental thing. But also what something that the Ministry of Education said the other time, C.S. Magoha, there is no guidance and counseling in these schools, and it's supposed to be there. These are teenagers. These are people who think they know, but they really don't. They're still children, so they need a well-equipped department in terms of somebody who's qualified for guidance and counseling to ensure that they're able to talk to these children, guide them properly while they are away, especially those ones in boarding schools. And something else that I've noted, these fires, they're only in public schools. Why are they not happening in private schools? What is the difference? What is it that is happening in private schools that has made the kids to be calm and just focus on what they're doing there compared to the agitation we see in public schools? Where is the disconnect and what is happening there, perhaps? I'd like to understand that.
Oh, I think our video is not having sound. People are complaining. The technicians should check on that. There's no sound here at all. People are not receiving the topics. So, Miriam, you have raised a very serious point. It is only happening in public schools. And I think this has taught us on this Africa, social Africa, that shall be only getting one topic. We loaded too many topics and we cannot finish them in an hour. But I think, let's briefly agree. Tawish, is that an elephant behind you? You have a picture of. Are you in the
giraffe? That is
a giraffe. Are you in the Rio Park in Safo? So, Miriam, in short, public schools, why are not dormitories?
Mm-hmm. What is happening? What is happening in our public schools?
Because public schools is where money comes from. A private school is owned by an individual. He's always on site. But the government schools is where people, cartels, deliver books, deliver furniture, deliver food, beans, posho, whatever you want, you call it. So it is these public schools that are paying so many people. You have a department of things called supply. Miriam, you don't work at night. I used to work at night, and you find ladies, oh, I am in the business of supply. Then you ask her, supply what? You supply. Is there a subject called supply? Oh, I supply goods and I get paid. So people went and sat down in the town and created what we call supply. And I believe me or not, Sharon knows this. Sharon, and you have been in this. Some you mix up with people, public. Some there are ladies specialized with big cars that I am in supply. But if you trace the supply, what do they supply? They supplied these textbooks, which the school has told us they are for free. You know why you pay, you send your child to school, then you are also told to bring extra money. When the government has said, sorry, that is already paid for. People create employment by even banning the schools.
But also,
I'm telling you.
Doc, the conditions, I think the conditions in, my son is in boarding school, but not public. But when you hear the conditions of the children go through in boarding schools, it's like I'm taking you to boarding school so that you have a hard life. You understand life and uzoe maisha ngumu. So if that is where we are taking our children, I think we have to, because they're away for a long time. Like this time they were supposed to be away for nearly 3 months. So if a child is constantly going through hard time, there's no way this child will be settled. So we have to change this mentality that we have and that takes place in the public schools, that a child has to go through so much hardship. Some of them have come through so much hardship from their home. So can we make it just a little bit comfortable, and just a little bit, not too much luxury or something like that, but just a little bit habitable for our children, so that they can feel at home away from home, so they can be just comfortable enough to them to just calm down when they're there.
I think so. Miriam, you have hit the point. And I am lucky. I don't have anybody going to school at the moment. The type of schools that we have are very bad. Do you know why? We have very dangerous teachers. Some of the teachers are like bishops. Here, you are dancing with him. I wish we were together, I think. Yes, we were together on a Shipai. When we looked on the floor, we saw one of the bishops. You remember? You remember the bishop who was dancing? We don't want to say the name.
I do remember that, Terry.
Even Stephen is laughing behind there. The bishop was dancing. Real dance, not this simple dance. He was better than me in movement, because I'm very deadly on the floor in movement. In terms of movement, tell Miriam, because Miriam looks at me and thinks I'm not worth to dance. I am a terrible dancer, Miriam, I'm telling you. I ask any of those people in the studio, they will tell you, when I go to the floor, you can't beat Masanga. Especially Rumba records and African music. Tawishi will tell you, I am deadly. The Horror Night Club will watch David Matanga. So, when we looked on this side, we saw the bishop. He was also dancing. And then we looked at the table. I told Tawishi, look, there are bottles of wine. And he was following the wine. So I told Tawishi, is this not the man who always preaches on TV? So, these are some. So if a society has broken to that level, that we have nowhere to resort to, because the topics are too long, we can summarize on this one and then we do the other topics. I don't know what time you are supposed to be going out. Is any time at 4 or a few minutes past 4 we do two topics, the second one, and then you go. Look, the society has collapsed. For me, for us, when those days, I'm giving you our experience. On Friday, when it comes to Friday, it is hallelujah. Do you know, you get even more worried. You don't want the school to end. Do you know what happens on Saturday? And do you know what happens next Sunday? You are told Sunday by 9 a.m. we are going to church. And by the way, you have no escape route. no escape route. And if you don't go to church, the father is going to be there, the mother is there. They will ask you, where were you? You might not have that good food that is cooked after church. There is that good meal that you share with your parents after church. When you have come to church, you have taken that wine, You know, that wine has a something, a symbol. There is a difference between that church wine and the wine that we guzzle down in the nightclubs. Very different. It gives you energy. With the bread, the water, took the blood, as if you have drunk the blood of Jesus Christ. So you come out, you are disciplined. Is there anything like that today? Do people, even if bother going to churches? Churches have become a decoration fashion show. I'm not telling you a lie. You go on Friday, on Friday, and see how many bishops actually are dyeing their hair. In saloons across. I've done a research. They are dyeing the hair cutting style. The suits are being done style. You know, you can preach the way I'm preaching. And you can, as long as the material flows. But the people, the churches have brought a custom of commercialized evangelism that is suited for America, where the status are very good. That your child, you leave him with money, he will go to the shop and buy a cake and keep quiet. That the school has water, flash water. We don't have schools with flash water. We still have some schools with pit latrines. Am I wrong?
No, all the schools in the villages, I think they're all pit latrines.
Yes, with pit latrines.
But as long as they're kept clean, I think that's the reality. Yeah.
So that is why Magoha is correct. Anybody saying Magoha is wrong is a stupid person. I'm sorry to say. Magoha is bringing discipline. People have got to know. We had a toilet, a latrine, where the punishment of cleaning it for coming late makes you wake up very early to be in school before. You have to get banana leaves and burn so that those maggots don't come up and run around there. Sorry about that, Miriam. But this is what we used to do. We used to do that. I used to. Yeah, because I was very stubborn, but not banning schools. I was a chairman of debating club, geographical club, drama, music. I play guitar for Gitongas. I don't know, but my Nani, Gitonga and Miriam. Miriam, when I talk about playing guitar, she laughs. I play guitar. I'm a deadly man, the man you see here. I was a singer called Veve by name. A dancer, a stage manager. My voice has just gone now, but very good voice. All these songs of Lingala crammed here. I could sing and I was a band leader. So my school, I gave my school inspiration. When I see my OBs, most of them are powerful people, generals. Some two are generals in Uganda UPDF. You see? Generals in Uganda UPDF. Very serious generals. Some are airline. Most of my OBs are airline captains. There's no OB of mine I've found who is very poor. Who is very not poor, who is a nuisance. I've not seen one. All of them have responsibility. And when they hear Matanga, they say, that guy is still alive. I used to show them discipline. That I am the chairman of the school council. So follow me. To be in senior 4, Miriam, and you defeat a senior 6 in elections. Even the senior 6 people vote for you. That is how I became the chairman of school council. I defeated a senior 6 guy called Muhumuza, who stood with me. Defeated him and I became the chairman when I was in senior 4. So those things deterred us. from making mistakes. The rules that were there are their rules in the schools today. A child comes with, what are these called? This one. The teacher cannot even afford this. Let's be honest, Miriam. Some teachers cannot even afford this. A teacher borrows from the child. Now, you tell me, how are you going to discipline that child? So when we talk about uplifting the system of school, let's uplift everything holistically, from teachers having good service, which was a profession, because some of these things happen because teachers don't care. Teachers would detect whether these girls are doing drugs, but some teachers don't care. Why would I care? The teacher will say, why would I care? After all, my children are not even going to school. Why should I teach these ones who are going to school? So it's a conversation, it's a long one. We can go on and go on, Miriam. From the experience that I have, you learn quite a lot, because most of my teachers were white teachers, not these Ogundipe of offsprings, who and Makonde. They were white and they disciplined us. I remember I had a strike at school in Manjas, and my uncle brought me back. Miriam, if I tell you what he did to me, you would even arrest him now. He gave me one, he told the headmaster he must be given 100 canes. The headmaster said, no, the staff, that punishment is too high. He said, you are saying too high, bring the stick. My Uncle Titus, I still remember him. He said, lie down, you touch, it goes. And later on, after he has hammered me 24, the school now, the boys, some of the boys wanted to stone him. And he said that these ones, see, I was hammered 24 up to today when I touch somewhere here. Because I've gained weight, said the scar has gone. I suffered. From that day, you think I can make a strike again? I took part in a strike, which I did not know, shouting. Look, it took me to being caned, 24 canes. So, teachers were very concerned. They were well paid. These days, teachers are not well paid. They also come from the same shackles of poverty, like the ones the parents are in. Therefore, it has collapsed the schooling system elsewhere, coupled with children having no manners, no behavior. And another point that you don't miss among the children is parents quarreling. There are some women and men who have a habit, especially women, they have long mouth. In front of children, you are teaching. Wait, Miriam, look at me, Mama. Wait until people go. Then call your husband. If I can tell you, I last quarreled with my wife. Serious fight. Serious, no quarrel. 45 years ago. These ones currently are, when I see it is too hot, I ask for my keys and I go. I say the child is hearing. This child is hearing. Can you keep quiet and we talk later? Sit down, let her hear. No, then she said, let her hear. He's a woman. She's a woman. Let her, please. Get my keys, I run out. I don't want to quarrel with a woman. And with Songa, don't make a mistake of quarreling with women. When you see your wife quarreling, especially you are married, just pick your keys and go into your BMW. Is it a Range Rover? Whatever you have these days, I don't know. What you have, Mercedes, go. Come back and say, Mommy, are you okay? I brought some flowers. You people like flowers. Buy some flowers. That will bring discipline in the family. But at the moment, we have no discipline. Parents start it very early in the morning. In fact, the quarrels occur either in the morning or late in the evening. Lunchtime, because they are not here. But in the evening, they start chomaring each other. Choo, 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 where, yeah. You are stupid, where? Look at him. You know, this type of behavior, it teaches the children are in the house. Those children are going to insult the teacher. I submit. I think the rest of the topics, if we can dispose of the one of animals quickly. I know Miriam said she doesn't have any animal. I agree with you. You are like me. The last time I tried to be closer to an animal, there's my sky here, which is well known. It was a dog. I used to give it bones. Then one day it turned on me and mauled me over nothing. In fact, then I sat and looked at it. What can I do? When my uncle left, can I just kill this thing? It looked at me after that, after mauling me. When they removed the chain, it came and started playing with me. What have I done with this thing here? It has just bitten me. I have a scar here. It was a dog. But as I went to Britain, I became partly a good-hearted man. That if you see an animal on the road, when you are driving, it is crossing, stop, it crosses. How many people in Africa can stop for a cat on the road? Including Tawish. Can you?
Certainly, yes, Dr. Masanga.
And that Sharon, can you?
Yeah.
Where Songa, do you stop for the cat to pass?
Dr. Masanga, of course, for a majority of us are not.
I don't think when Songa stops. That statement is enough. We have seen, we have heard. Yes, say it. Go ahead.
Yes, of course we cannot be dishonest and say that perhaps we stop. It only depends with the circumstances, you know. Perhaps if you are driving with Madame, you're gonna be considerate enough. But if the highway, that is gonna be a topic for another day.
No. Miriam, would you stop for a cat to pass?
Yeah, just let it pass.
Okay, cats are my friends.
I don't like them at all.
I don't know. No, let me tell you, I don't know why. But even Tawish has experienced. We went to Voi. You remember when we woke up, several cats were on my car. Only. They are always on my car. Even right now, in the name of God, right now, they leave all the cars. They come to my car. It even sits on the bonnet for me to see it.
Experts will say that you have a good heart, perhaps.
Okay, I don't know. I think so. If it sits in the bonnet, and even when Moses says go, it doesn't. But when I come, it goes. I say, I'm going. It jumps down and it goes. At times, it hides under there. When I start, it comes, runs, stands this way, watches me, it goes. Cat. There are two. I was recently in Sarova Sands. Two of them came. They left all the chairs. They sat under my chair. So I said, what's going on here? And then people were giving them food they didn't touch. When I threw food on the floor, Miriam, is when they started eating. Even the people there, we were with the PS for labor. The PS said, my friend, what type of heart did you have? I said, I don't know. So treatment of animals in Kenya is under the law. It is in the Constitution of Republic of Kenya, Chapter 5, Part 2 of Environmental and Natural Resources, Medium, of Constitution 2010. It prohibits you to place traps and snares. Slaughtering animal in a manner that causes suffering is also prohibited. Training an animal in a cruel manner that inflicts pain and terror is prohibited. So is performing acts of entertainment where an animal. So can you, as we conclude, all of you make your statements. Is Ruto, didn't he violate this section 25, chapter 25, by allowing cruelly animals to be painted in yellow and green? Then he forwarded it to him, brought it to him. He's the head of state. He didn't say anything.
He's the head of state.
But allowed.
Did you say he's the head of state?
No, he's a deputy head of state. So
Yes.
I'm making, I don't know why my tongue today.
A very serious statement.
Don't mention it. Remove it from the clip.
It's there.
Now let's have your final submissions as we go the lesson.
Actually, Dr. Masanga, from where I sit, this was wrong of Deputy President William Ruto. It was wrong of the people who, of course, perpetuated this act, or people who prepared this particular event. From the community where I come from, the Maa community to be particular, I mean, we not only treasure, but we also love animals so much to a point that you cannot go to the extent of painting animals, painting a sheep, just to try and pass a message. You know, in the past, Dr. Masanga, and we've just been talking about the issue of role models and how we learn about certain behaviors in our lives. I remember even some time back, was it in 2017 or thereabout, when we had sheep and was it goats being dressed in regalia to demonstrate that they support a certain political outfit in the country. I do not think really we need to get to such kind of extremes to try and send a message that indeed you are resonating well, or your message is resonating well with the voters. That maybe that is the best way you can endear to the people who you want to ask them to support you. This is going beyond any imaginable boundaries, Dr. Masanga. So this is something that when I looked into it personally, I was quite shocked, and I did not feel that this was the right thing that was being done. And for Deputy President William Ruto to continually do this, because I remember even just the other day, former Prime Minister Odinga was being given gifts in form of sheep and goats in his current home, and I never see any of those sheep or goats being painted in any of the colors, maybe orange or something of the sort. I mean, the message will still just go there. The message will still get to the people you intend to. You do not need really to try and get to such kind of extremes, Dr. Masanga. Just for lack of words, this is something that must be reprimanded, something that even it is against the Kenyan constitutions, really. But because even the people who enforce our laws are such selective to a point that they cannot quite do anything, because this is a person they perceive as being in power. If it were an ordinary person like myself, or maybe Shonu Esonga or anybody, then maybe we would have seen the law take its course. But because it's Deputy President William Ruto, and that is what our society has become, that there are people we treat with the honor and the treasure, whom do not even deserve the honor and treasure itself. There are people who we revere so much, people we do not even feel like we can say anything even when they break the law. So this is something that is so selective, and we will want to see that going into the future, things are done differently, and we do not want such kind of things being done on our animals. Dr. Masanga, I submit.
Caron, thank you very much, Tawish.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga, and of course my co-panelist for your sentiments. And I definitely agree that the action is actually cannot be allowed, and it was actually it was so quite unfortunate because I think in the Animals Act there's a protection. It speaks about the protection of animals, and I actually saw a statement that was issued by the Union of Veterinary practitioners of Kenya, and I'm hoping they're actually going to take an action from these so that it can actually be a lesson that if anyone actually is caught breaching the animal welfares or any freedom, that this person should actually be prosecuted. Let actually political leaders respect the right of animals and actually be at the forefront to fight the act, not actually subjecting animals in cheap clouds, and or rather in a bid to actually remain political relevant. As I conclude, there's a famous saying by Mahatma Gandhi that says that the moral progress of any nation will actually be judged by how it treats the animals. Animals deserve to be valued, they deserve to be loved, and there has to be protection against any torture or hunger. Thank you.
What? If you don't love animals, Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi.
If you don't love animals, you can love plants. Like there's that option, right?
What about the plants by Ruto?
I'm just saying, if you don't love animals, if you don't like pets, you can keep some plants and water them. That's easier for me.
Plants.
And water
Then you
them.
become Ruto.
No, they're good for the environment. They clear the air.
Okay, I have my plants here. You can see Miriam in the corner. And my balcony has plants.
So that doesn't mean you've become Ruto. It's just plants are good.
Songa.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, I agree with my fellow panelists that it is indeed primitive to do such kinds of actions on animals. However, I really like to bring to our viewers' attention the erratic behavior that is happening, more specifically in William Ruto's campaigns. One thing that I have a problem with is the issue of bringing young children to the political rallies. What happens if a stampede ensues in those political rallies and we have a two-year-old child or a 6-month-old child who has been brought to the rally by the parents with the aim of giving it to William Ruto so that they take a photo with it? Number two, we have seen a majority of their supporters taking a photo on the top of a very, very small pole inside the wheelbarrow. That is actually a very, very dangerous stunt. And they need to be warned. If they will not rectify on that, I believe authorities will take action against them. And number three, it is the issue of animal brutality. You know, they are treating animals the same way they are treating young children, the same way they are even treating themselves in these rallies. And I think it is a bit primitive. We need decorum as even we conduct these political campaigns. I submit.
Miriam, take it away for us.
I want to believe that the deputy president did not know he will be brought to these animals that were painted. I want to give him a benefit of a doubt. So I think this is just an awareness that needs to be created among Kenyans that as much as you love somebody and you want to support them or you want to show how loyal you are to them, there are other ways you can show that outside of, doing things like, painting animals and things like that. So this, I think, is just a general awareness that should be carried out to the public. But I don't believe the DP perhaps knew those animals are going to be given to him painted like that.
Miriam, I think the problem is he actually didn't say anything because has actually been violated. He has actually violated what the Constitution says. So it's not about whether he actually knew, but the fact that he didn't say anything even after he was gifted. That is just my thought. I don't know. Yeah.
I think I agree with Gitonga there. That
maybe he said in private. We don't know that for sure.
No, he can. You don't need to say it in private. Because if he says in private, what about us who saw? We don't know. We needed him to make a statement and then reprimand those people. If you're a good PR man, You reprimand the people and say, no, please. That's what the presidents do. Museveni cannot allow it. He would tell you off. He said, no, that's not very good. Take it away. That way. But this guy knows, does he really know the constitution of Kenya, by the way? Ruto might not know this section of the constitution.
Did Ruto paint those? The code?
He didn't support it either, so how can he know?
Alipewa zawadi. Sasa when you are paint, ndo walifanya makosa.
Yes.
And we need to raise that public awareness so that Kenyans in general understand. Because even Kenyans don't understand these animals have rights. So I think it's just an awareness we need to carry out. When we're handling these animals, we have to.
I agree with you, Miriam.
Yes. Alipewa true.
I agree with you.
Ange rebuke in public, ange lose kura. So
something I wanted to bring on board.
Yes, go ahead before we close.
There's a day William Ruto came to my home county of Busia, and he was given a present just like he was given yesterday. But in this time, it was a black chicken. Do you know he never even touched that particular chicken? So what makes him reject a black chicken and take those painted goats?
Good question there.
Good question.
There is something in law, Miriam, called abating crime. You can't find the thieves who have stolen something, then you go along with them in the same car. Police will take you as part of the theft when they arrest them, isn't it? So yes. If you find the thieves who have stolen something, and they say, oh, gali, inaenda hapa Nyando. You say that, wacha nipande Nyando. The police ahead will stop. All of you are thieves now. You have aided and abetted. Is it abetting Wesonga?
Yeah, that is it.
Yes. Handling of stolen property is equivalent to stealing the real property. In fact, handling is even worse. You know that the magistrate will hammer you more years for handling than. Have you seen how people are sentenced? The man who broke into the shop and stole the money is given 10 years, you are given 20. Mm. Because you are supposed to have told this man that, oh no, report to the police. You have committed 2 offenses. You have failed to report to the police. You have handled the stolen property. The other one just stole the property. Am I teaching some law here?
Absolutely, Dr. Masanga. Wanasema in possession of stolen property. It's very serious, yes, very serious.
In possession of stolen property, you are given a sentence. Then, failure to report it to police,
yes,
is also a different account.
Yes.
Which they can sentence you. But the thief will only be, he robbed a bank, and that's it. But you who is found with the money that was robbed in the bank, and then you started using it without questioning where it was. The deputy president here had an opportunity to question and caution these people. Next time, don't paint animals when they have not said yes, paint us. If it was Britain one, I would have resigned yesterday. For that goat only, he would have resigned. That's how bad democracy is. Look at the way they are squeezing Boris over a simple recruitment exercise where somebody, one of the peers recruited relatives in the House of Lords and I was collecting money. The guy is going, it could bring down the government as we speak now. Another relative friend of Uhuru could go down, you see. Always in Europe, Theresa May went down. The one of Italy, this one also is on a hanger note. So, handling property is a dangerous thing. Stolen property. DP should have told people, don't do this to animals again. It could lose his votes. If the animal rights start campaigning, he loses. If you tell a Turkana that this, or West Pokot that this man hates animals, you are done. Or a Maasai called Tawish or the Sisana. If Tawish hears that, we are done. Thank you very much, all of you. This is our beginning of the show. And we want to tell our people from Biafra that the case of Biafra is in court. So we don't discuss a case which is in court now in Kenya. Come back and we work together. The results of the court will be seen. And the Kenya government has said it never was aware of a scheme of mafia to collect this money from here. That's what we have heard from court. There are 4 brothers from Biafra. We are still together. We are voting. We can't discuss that case of Namdi Khan when it is in court in Kenya. Thank you very much, Miriam. God bless you. God bless Kitonga, Sesana, Daniel, and yourself. Have a nice evening. And I love animals. Tomorrow we shall look at the marriage. When the marriage is gone, leave it go. Enda, sisi wengine tunapoteza mingi. Go. Don't go to the press. Leave it. Thank you.